And so what I typically end up doing is the distancing, and when I'm not distancing, we're conflicting, and when we're not conflicting or distancing, I'm probably over-functioning or under-functioning. So
Yeah. Gosh, it's just got to be a real challenge.
it's I don't feel bad that I don't live near home. As bad as that, I appreciate the physical distance at times of like, because it's so. I think the challenging part of it, the most challenging part of it, is just how much it can consume my energy and where I'm thinking and what I'm doing, and so that's part of counseling I need to go to, is just remember to name that in the first place, because Katie does a really good job of listening to me when I say it, and I don't say it too much to her very often. But I know she's told me every single time we've come home from being with them that I'm just a different person for a few hours than I am every other time I'm anywhere.
I'm curious what she sees that difference being.
Shorter in
Okay.
temperament. Not the joking person that I normally am, and I'm a lot more like, I don't think depressed is the right word. Not depressed in a clinical sense, but just depressed in general. Like just not engaged, kind of stare off into
Kind of
space.
emotionally exhausted.
Yeah. And which, for Katie, and she's expressed, like, that's really hard for her, because she doesn't want to see me like that. I don't want to be like that either. And her frustration gets geared towards Mom and Aaron, because I'm continuing to be put in that spot, and that's the current pattern that is home.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't, I guess, look at the teeter-totter of overfunction, underfunction. I don't know how to stay in the middle of that. I don't know what that looks like. So yeah, it's exhausting, and it's frustrating, and it probably doesn't bleed into work, because I just distance myself enough that it doesn't. And I haven't, thankfully, yet encountered someone who's similar to Aaron. The joy right now of being in a big church is I don't have that kind of one-on-one care with most people.
Yeah.
So I don't get put in those situations. Well, I've told Katie is if I ever do, it'll be like, let me recommend someone to you, because I cannot be that person for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I think it's important for you to recognize your own limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And to be aware of your own reactivity to Aaron, to your mom, and how that reactivity may not, they may not recognize it, but as you said, Katie recognizes it.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that small children, when they experience their parents differently, that it affects them as well.
Yeah.
So, I think it's really important to be aware of it, and it sounds like you are. And again, I just wonder what resources are out there for you.
I think that's a really good question for me to ask today, and I think I will be at least demoralized today if there's not an answer to that. Doesn't mean that there isn't an answer out there. I might question the purpose of the visits to this counselor if there isn't an answer to the question, which would feel like a step backwards, because it would mean Aaron's not going to counseling of any kind. But I would be wasting energy for the next 3.5 hours if I assume that there's not an answer, versus, okay, maybe there's an answer today to that, and a direction to go in. I think I can maintain hope pretty well if there's at least a, here's a resource and something you can do and can live with the we haven't done this resource yet versus I don't know what's next.
I wonder if you can raise, using a triangle, for your own purpose. Talking to the counselor, but knowing that Aaron and your mom in some ways can overhear you express, that you're concerned about how I can do the best that I can, given my limits of time and resources. How I'm just concerned about how I can give what's needed in this situation.
Mm-hmm. And what is it fair to say, like, what, I guess it'd be a question for Aaron and my mom, what would me being part of your life look like? My fear is like, oh, call every day, or like, come visit more often, and that kind of, which is, when I know I'm under functioning in theory or distancing at home, my mom's response is to have like, I should show you the email. I showed it to Carl on Monday. It was one sentence that was 2 paragraphs long, asking like questions, and
the St. Paul sentence.
Yes, it's one of those moments of just like, I told Carl, like, I'm having anxiety right now. Let me name that. And so, maybe that's not the best question to ask, but just staying with the, what is the most important thing for me to do in this?
Yeah. And admit to your anxiety and say, this is making me feel anxious. It's not that I don't want to do anything. I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. And I know just doing what I'm doing harder is not the answer.
Yeah.
Jeez. I haven't said that in a while. But as I go out the door, I blow my head into a wall to try to move something.
Well, that sort of gives me a picture of how you are wired.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I mean, is that a pattern for you
to just do things harder?
To do things harder?
One I'm trying to break, but yes. I think it's funny the ways I feel, it's probably not completely true, that at work I'm able to turn off a lot of the things that I've noticed in my life, the patterns I have that are not helpful. I'm still stubborn. I still, in a meeting I'll still make dumb comments sometimes. At least not rude ones, but jokes, and like will want to just try something and do something differently and harder. And yet, like at work, I can name that's what's going on right now. Like, okay, this isn't going to work this way.
So you feel you have some space and ability to do that and maybe try something different.
Yeah, and to look at it a different way. We had pub theology we've been doing. The first 3 were in the 30s. This last one we had 12, which is fine. I can say that's fine, and I mean it, and I see that that's growth from when I was at my last church, and like if we had 12, I would have like ran down the street in my socks celebrating again like with Minnesota. But knowing I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, these are things that didn't work. It doesn't make me bad at what I do because it didn't work this time. What are the things we can do differently next time? When it comes to my sister, these are the things that didn't work. Well, maybe if I just did them harder, if I just spoke about the same thing in a different way, was it lipstick on a pig or something like that? It's still a pig.
Okay, so you're aware of how that pattern has been lived out in your relationship with your family.
Yes.
And it's really interesting that you've got the comfort of having the laboratory at work.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's a way that you can intentionally integrate what you're learning there, you're learning here, into those relationships with your mom and sister.
I think there is, and I think the biggest part of it is somehow finding a way to not let the anxiety control my responses so much. And I think that's because the only other scenario, that's not true, there's other scenarios. I still get a lot of anxiety when I have a personal conflict with someone. So like, talk about work. I can take work criticism, and that's fine. It's still hard, but it's like a different hard than feeling like if Katie and I were to be in a fight,
Mm-hmm.
that like sick to my stomach feeling is really hard to get rid of. So the conflicts at home, it's really hard for like that feeling is always there at home, like always on the edge of my seat, waiting for something to get said. Usually between my mom and my sister, that'll set somebody off, and then it's here we go again, type thing. To be able to like, I don't know if a half-hour drive will do it, but just not bring that in today, as best as I can. What that might look like, or if that would even be noticed by Mom or Aaron. I guess Katie can tell me what she thinks I am when I get home. She's got her own anxiety today. She was asking if I wanted her to come with me today. And I was like, one, no, like, we have enough anxiety around the house with our little munchkin here. But it'd be interesting to see if she can see the same pattern when I get home. Which isn't to say, like, I think there's some validity in I just need to be quiet for a little while and that take some time off now. That's different than just being a vegetable for an hour or 2 hours and not being able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's a way to check and see how effective the leaving anxiety was.
And I'm wondering if there's a way that you can more closely to the moment recognize your anxiety when you're in this meeting this afternoon.
I don't know if it wouldn't hurt just to say it.
Okay, and say it.
I'm feeling really anxious right now.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, if there's, when I feel anxious and I'm in a meeting or something like that, if I take 3 or 5 just really good, slow, long, deep breaths, it slows my thinking down. When I get anxious, my brain just goes.
Let me solve all the what's problems.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's like espresso.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what anxiety does to me. But if I can slow down, slow my thinking down, and that's what that 3, 4, 5 times, just really slow and deep, and that was too fast for me. But
For sure. Yeah.
It just slows down my thinking, and I can listen better, and I can process better.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then trying to remember that I'm not chaplain there, and so it's like, I guess that Heather was talking about it on Monday. They're like, don't use that chaplain crap with me. If you get that, and that happens to be part of your profession, do you just ignore it and keep moving? Or just reframe it? Like,
I might try to reframe it.
I'm not using chaplain crap with you. I'm using
Boeing crap with you.
Yes, I'm using Bowen. Blame Bowen. But for me, you need to listen to me.
He's dead. He can take it.
Yeah, he won't even roll over in his grave.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's heard it all before. Yeah, I think that's a good goal. To see if it's not see if it's possible. I know it is possible. I guess practice in living in that possibility of not being so consumed by the anxiety. That's the best that comes out of today.
If that's the best, then that's a good
day.
That's a good day.
Yeah.
If you can learn to acknowledge and lessen your anxiety 5%.
It's a huge deal.
It's a big deal.
So.
Because I'm convinced, at least for me, if I lower my anxiety, I can listen
A lot more.
a lot better.
Yeah, that makes sense. To think, even the times where I've been anxious, like I don't remember this person's name, the amount of words I miss that they're saying to me while I'm trying to remember their name. It's just like, and that's probably a fairly minimal level of anxiety. It hasn't happened with Katie, so that's always good. Who are you?
All right. Well, we probably need to cut it there. I need to run and get my lunch
Sure thing. I was gonna.
and eat it whole before
That's always a good
I
thing.
go to another.
Your 1:30.
Yeah.